here we are, Super Tuesday, finally, in 2020, and talk about political fortunes changing overnight. Joe Biden, who finished, former Vice President Biden, who finished, I think it was like 4th in Iowa, 5th in Vermont, and a very distant second in the Nevada caucus, actually won his first primary, as we talked about a few days ago in South Carolina. And now, on the eve, or last night on the eve of Super Tuesday, many of the Democrats running for president, it seems like the whole party is deciding to coalesce around Joe Biden. I have my thoughts about that. I'll tell you in a moment, but I'll have some quick clips to play for you. We had, first of all, this is Amy Klobuchar dropping out and endorsing Joe Biden. Here we go.
We need Texans, we need to unite our party and our country. And to do it, not just with our words, but with our actions. It is up to us, all of us, to put our country back together, to heal this country, and then to build something even greater. I believe we can do this together. And that is why today I am ending my campaign and endorsing Joe Biden for president.
Yeah. That was a very forced smile you saw on her face. Next, very quickly, Buttigieg, former candidate, current mayor and former presidential candidate Pete Buttigieg. Here he is endorsing Biden.
You know, when I ran for president, we made it clear that the whole idea was about rallying the country together to defeat Donald Trump and to win the era for the values that we share. And that was always a goal that was much bigger than me becoming president. And it is in the name of that very same goal that I'm delighted to endorse and support Joe Biden for president.
And one more, even former candidate and Texan who became the empty suit candidate, Beto O'Rourke, also endorsed Biden. Here we go.
Ladies and gentlemen, tomorrow, March 3rd, 2020, I will be casting my ballot for Joe Biden.
Okay, I'm going to just tell you about 3 quick points, and then we're going to get to our wonderful interview today with Dr. Everett Piper. Number one, obviously the Democrat powers that be decided we simply cannot have Bernie Sanders become the Democrat presidential candidate, so they are willing to coalesce around Joe Biden. These people, now Elizabeth Warren didn't. She said she's staying in. She's hoping to even work her way toward the nomination at the Democrat convention, which is an extremely long shot. But in any case, the big Democrat players are deciding we've got to get behind Biden. Other endorsements came in. This is not because they think he'll be the best president. It's because they're very, very afraid of Bernie Sanders. Number two, those same Democrat powers that be will not let Joe Biden be the real candidate. And the reasons are multiple, but I'll mention a couple. Number one, and you'll hear other hosts play a string of Biden gaffes and misspeaks. He said again this week. In fact, yesterday he said we all have to turn out tomorrow on Super Thursday. I mean, he makes many, many gaffes. But at the core of it, I think that he seems to be mentally slipping. I think many, many people in the Democrat Party see that. He's not as alert, as savvy, as articulate, as punchy, as on top of things as they need to have their candidate be. He's a safer candidate on paper to many Democrats, so they think, okay, he's safe. He's not a crazy socialist, so we'll let him be the front runner. He'll let him get all the way through the primaries today. But I think the Democrat powers that be behind the scenes are going to work very hard to make sure Joe Biden does not have the nomination, does not emerge from that convention with the nomination, because they're worried about his mental clarity. But even more importantly, they're worried about all that is about to come out relating to the Biden adventures in the Ukraine. 2 things happened on that front. A court in the Ukraine, a Ukrainian court, has ordered the government to look into the decision made to fire the Ukrainian prosecutor, which was done at the behest, at the request, at the demand, at the threat of Joe Biden, as he mindlessly announced in a televised proceeding where he pointed out that he had arm twisted the Ukrainians into firing this prosecutor who was looking into the company his son served on the board of. So we have Ukrainians are now looking into this, making him the court has ordered the government to look into it, find out what happened. And then secondly, the Senate Judiciary Committee has announced they are soon going to be issuing subpoenas. They are going to be looking into the Ukraine-Biden-Burisma mess. And I can see many Democrats in Washington thinking we cannot have the entire campaign season bogged down with the Senate looking into what is now very clear to many Americans, the actual corruption with America and the Ukraine involving the Bidens and Burisma back in 2016, and not, as the Democrats falsely claimed, any sort of Trump wrongdoing with respect to the Ukraine. Final and quick point before we turn to our interview is this. The Ukrainian government and the American government and all that was going on behind the scenes in 2016, Burisma and Biden are just part of it. There are other players involved, people inside the State Department helping to funnel money, American taxpayer dollars, over to organizations in the Ukraine that were not serving America's interests, that were disruptive, that were intentionally, these are Soros-funded organizations. My point is, it's not just Joe Biden who gets hurt if there really is discovery and an investigation and a clearing of the air of what happened between the Ukraine and America in 2016. It's numerous people inside the Democrat Party and, frankly, the Republican Party in Washington, in the State Department, and in the Congress who very much do not want to have an airing of the real corruption with the Ukrainians and America. And this is why, my friends, in my view, the Democrat Party is never going to let Joe Biden be their presidential candidate in 2020. And that, my very fine friends, is today's First Five.